Today's video is sponsored by Insta360. E-bikes are rapidly gaining popularity as a cost-effective mode of transportation. They are convenient, eco-friendly, and efficient, especially in urban areas where parking can be difficult. They also reduce carbon footprint of transportation and can replace public transit in dense metropolitan areas, giving people a more flexible and cheaper way to get around. But the most important thing is they're fun to ride. Seriously, I've never met anyone who has not enjoyed riding a bicycle ever. And that's the thing, they may look intimidating to some people, but they're still just bicycles, with a battery attached to them, of course. This example right here is made by Super73, which is probably the most popular among e-bike companies. The bad news is they are wildly expensive, but the good news is there are other options out there that can fit your budget. So in this video, I'll showcase my collection of 3 distinct e-bike models, each offering unique features and varying price points. Hopefully you'll gain valuable insights on what to consider when browsing for your first or next e-bike. Let's start off with the Tenways CGO600 Pro. This electric bike costs $1,899, a great option for those who want something that's a bit more like a normal bicycle, lightweight, not too bulky or expensive. Weighing only 37 pounds, the CGO600 Pro can be carried upstairs or lifted over curbs if necessary. And even though this is a single-speed bicycle, you can reach up to 20 miles an hour thanks to its 350-watt hub motor with a torque sensor. This bike uses a Gates carbon belt that operates silently and ensures a maintenance-free ride. Integrated into the frame of this bike are 2 LED bulbs that are actually quite bright. The LCD display is tiny, but it is simple and intuitive to operate. You can choose up to 3 levels of pedal assist depending on your comfort level by simply using the up and down buttons. The CGO600 Pro uses an easily removable 36-volt lithium-ion battery that makes charging a lot more convenient. Riding this bicycle is very enjoyable and feels second nature. It genuinely feels like a traditional bicycle, but with pedal assist. Part of the reason for this is the torque sensor that knows how fast or hard you are pedaling. It delivers powered assistance accordingly, making pedaling this bike feel smooth and very natural. This bike is ideal for short commutes on paved roads since it doesn't have a front or rear suspension. And if you live in the city, this can help you get to places quite easily as it's very light and easy to maneuver. The nice modern design and paint job are subtle, but make the CGO600 Pro look like a premium bicycle. I even like the way the logo is printed on the frame, as well as these reflective markers. Tenways did a great job keeping wires out of sight. Even the mudguards are stealthily designed and are barely noticeable. And if you have to park the bike outside for added security, you can easily detach the battery and take it with you. This bike does have some cons to consider before making your decision. First off, it doesn't have a throttle, instead it relies on your pedaling power to move forward. So uphill rides are definitely doable, just with a little bit more effort, especially on steep inclines. Second, no matter how hard you pedal, you won't be going faster than 21 miles an hour, unless you're going downhill. And third, the saddle it came with wasn't really comfortable for me, so I had to upgrade it. And the great thing about this particular e-bike is that it's almost like a regular bike, so buying aftermarket parts shouldn't be a problem for you. Alright, so now let's take a look at the Super73 S2 e-bike, which, truth be told, is a real head turner, but with a price tag of approximately $3,295, well, it's also kind of a jaw dropper. Regardless, this is the bike that introduced me to the world of e-bikes, and personally, I still think it's the best looking one out there. The S2 comes pre-programmed in Class 2 mode, which means you can get up to 20 miles an hour using the throttle or pedal assist. But if you want to go a little bit faster, you can unlock off-road mode using the app, which allows you to get anywhere between 22 to 24 miles an hour depending on your weight. This bike is a great option if you want to get around town without breaking a sweat. The S2 has a tiny LCD that shows you only the essentials, just like the CGO600 Pro. It comes with an air-assisted inverted coil spring fork, along with preload, compression, and rebound adjustments. This feature ensures a smooth and comfortable ride even on rough and bumpy roads. And speaking of bumpy roads, the extra fat tires can grip well enough on dirt surfaces, and the front suspension definitely makes the experience a lot less jarring. The battery of the S2 is also removable, but not as light and easy to carry as the CGO600 Pro. You can get up to 40 miles on a single charge if you're only using the throttle, but if you use pedal assist, that number can go up as high as 75 miles. The S2 has some disadvantages aside from its expensive price. It weighs 73 pounds, which means it's not exactly light enough to carry around. It also requires a large space for storage, but if you have room in your garage or maybe even a shed, then you should be fine. This model does have a torque sensor, but it doesn't feel as good as the CGO600 Pro. And to be honest with you, it's so heavy that you really wouldn't want to pedal this bike unless you're trying to conserve battery or maybe you're in a perfectly flat and smooth surface. It's also a single speed bike, which means if you run out of juice, then it's going to be a very difficult time getting home. Yes, you can buy aftermarket parts to upgrade this to a 7-speed bike, but that's pretty much it because one of the problems with the S2 is that it's such a unique design, you're gonna have a hard time trying to find parts for it. But honestly, with what you get out of the box, you really wouldn't be asking for much. It's comfortable, it's zippy, it's easy to ride, and it looks amazing. The only real problem I've had with it is that I wish it was a tad bit faster. Which brings me to our third option, the C3 Strom Astro Pro e-moped bike hybrid. This e-bike costs $2,699, which is significantly cheaper than the Super73 S2, but looks just as good. Aesthetically speaking, the Astro Pro looks more menacing and modern. It's like the bike you use when you're plugged into the Matrix. The Astro Pro has built-in turn signals, so you can ride with confidence on busy streets or in low-light conditions. It also has an 8-speed gear, letting you pedal this heavy e-bike with a lot more ease. The Astro Pro can get up to 30 miles an hour with pedal assist, 18 miles per hour with just the throttle. The saddle is very comfortable to sit on, just like the Super 73, but the combination of the less aggressive and slightly smaller street tires and great hydraulic front fork make riding this much more comfortable than the S2. This e-bike also has a built-in rear rack, which is highly durable with a 50-pound weight capacity, offering excellent functionality. The LCD display is much larger than the two other e-bikes, making it easier to see information at a glance. The Astro Pro also has these distinct futuristic daytime running lights that are highly visible. The LED headlights themselves have a low and high beam setting and are actually quite bright in the dark. And the brakes perform much better than the S2, which is definitely a good thing because you'll find yourself carrying a lot more speed with the Astro Pro. Overall, this bike actually feels more put together than the tried and tested Super 73, which came as a huge surprise from a relatively unknown company. But of course, it's still not a perfect e-bike. For starters, it weighs 94 pounds. You're definitely not carrying this up any stairs, and even loading this on bike racks can be quite the experience. This also means it requires a large amount of storage space, and there are fewer customization options available with this model than with the other two. Not that you'd really need to add much since this e-bike is very well equipped out of the gate. But I think the biggest question would be the reliability and warranty support, since it is from a newer company. Fortunately, I haven't had any issues with this bike since buying it almost 6 months ago. So now that I've given you 3 options to choose from, I'll let you know what I think of them as a whole and which one I actually use the most. The Super 73 was my first e-bike, and even after trying multiple brands and models, I find that theirs is the easiest one to get accustomed to. It's very manageable, it's quick, and it looks good. Something that you simply turn on and go. The tires give you enough grip to ride in semi-wet conditions, but it's still not an off-road bike despite the aggressive looks. The Astro Pro is everything that the Super 73 is, but a little bit better. Better ride quality, better brakes, better standard equipment, better price, and much faster. The only thing that might stop you from getting this over the Super 73 is the looks, which is completely dependent on your personal style. One other thing I'd like to note are the tires. Compared to the Super 73, these are a lot less aggressive and more for street use. Definitely not made for off-road. I switch between the S2 and the Astro Pro simply based on moods. If I want to go on a casual ride, I take the S2, but if I want a little bit more speed, the Astro Pro gets my vote. But the bike I find myself using the most is the CGO600 Pro, simply because it's the one that feels the most like a regular bike. You just turn it on and start pedaling. It's light and it's simple. Because it's light and smaller, it's very easy to store and it's easier to maneuver around. Among the 3 e-bikes that I have, this is the one that brings back memories of my childhood riding around the neighborhood, but with a lot less effort thanks to the electric motors. Also, this is the bike that gets the least amount of attention, which in some way is comforting. It gets a maximum of 52 miles on a single charge, which is more than enough for me. And if you bike to your place of work, you can take the battery out and charge it inside. But to be honest, any of these e-bikes are enjoyable to ride and own. You just need to determine what you want out of the experience and establish a budget. Fortunately, most bicycle shops will let you test ride bikes nowadays as long as they carry the make and model you're looking for, so I definitely recommend doing that. I hope I've given you enough information on e-bikes to get started with finding your first or next one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with my latest videos and be safe out there. I hope to see you again very soon.